After 3 years of Jesus teaching his disciples, not only in word, but in example after example after example, Jesus now gathers for a meal. Not the first meal he's had, I'm sure, with his disciples, but for what we would call the last meal. Seemingly the Passover meal. Jesus, the Jew that he was, would celebrate Passover. That Jewish meal that remembers the Jews' miraculous departure from Egypt, the end of a long and brutal period of slavery, as well as the symbolic birth of the Jewish nation. And now Jesus, with his friends, his disciples, gives them one more example. He who is master and teacher washes the feet of his disciples. This was an action, if you will, of hospitality, but not done by the head of the house, not done by the master or the teacher, done by somebody very lowly in the household, done by the servant, the slave even. And we hear that Jesus does this, but then he goes one step further. And just to start off with, he probably stunned his disciples, and then he does it again when he says to them, "If I can do this, you who call me teacher and master, you, each of you, all of you, must do the same." And certainly as we hear this Holy Thursday, this Holy Week, our minds might indeed turn to the present people of our day who are doing as Jesus asked. Yes, doctors and nurses. Yes, first responders and hospital personnel. And many, many others who selflessly care for others, especially the sick. Some of these people we know, and some of these people we will never know. But what they are doing is giving us example after example of unconditional love and unconditional care for others. And recognize them and applaud them, we should. But I don't think we need to stop there. Maybe we need to look around, to really open our vision, if you will, our eyes, to see maybe the bigger picture, and to recognize the actions of selflessness by others, even ourselves maybe. The example of selflessness on the part of the Walmart worker who's trying to do their job, who's trying to serve the public, and whose recognition or appreciation is anything but. Or the grocery store person who, like the Walmart person, is trying to do their best, but there just never seems to be toilet paper when they walk into the store. Examples of selflessness abound, maybe on the part of parents who are at home with the kids, day after day after day after day. Examples of selflessness by the kids, the kids are at home with their parents, day after day after day after day. In recent days, someone shared with me a person's aha moment. We've all had them in our lives. You know, the moment when we get it. Aha, now I understand. Now I understand. And this person's aha moment came to them in seeing the people around them in a different light, a different way. How they had come to understand these people, these ordinary people of their life, that probably they took too much for granted. But the aha moment in which they realized that these people always had the best interest in mind for them. And now, as they sort of see that and understand it, they see it not only as maybe something that happened to them because they're getting older, but they also see it as the Spirit of God working through them. The Spirit of God guiding them to live a better life. One that gives better example, if you will, to others. And the story, if you will, of the Last Supper and Jesus washing the feet of others, maybe is a reminder sometimes that above and beyond whatever limits or boundaries we sometimes think exist when it comes to serving others, when it comes to caring for one another, for others, for anyone. These days, we call the Triduum. This Holy Thursday is certainly about Jesus, but it's also about his disciples, living the Word, being the example that Jesus spoke about and lived and modeled for them. What's your story? What's your story of faith, of hope, and of love? What's your story that you and I and others are not only living, but hopefully in that life teaching others? A life that teaches, a life that also encourages others to do the same. Those examples of service, of caring, of sharing, and on it goes, and much more. I got a phone call the other day, and someone said to me, "Father, we're going to follow the suggestion you shared on Palm Sunday, that after the 5 o'clock Holy Thursday Mass, we would then have dinner afterwards." And so talk about Mass tonight as you gather around your table. Just like people of the past, Jesus gathered around that table with his friends. And when dinner is over, 2-3 hours from now, wash your hands, wash the dishes, and let those actions be a reminder that service and caring and sharing and so much more begins at home and flows and flows and flows into the world.